Scintillating.
Thank you. I am John O'Keefe. I was here yesterday, so you probably all know me already. I'm not Seth Berman. It's a big surprise. So Seth is the engineer on the instantiation staff who was mainly responsible for developing this capability for VA Smalltalk. And we would have liked for him to have been here, but he had a, for him, very fortunate, but for us, very unfortunate family situation in that his wife gave birth 3 weeks ago to a new son, their first child. So he felt like he should be at home. And so you get me instead. And so I will try to do my best to tell the story that Seth would tell if he were here. So that being said, this is going to be a slide presentation and a demo. The slide presentation will go quite well. As with all demos, we'll see. Okay. I mentioned during my presentation yesterday, I should use this. And do I have to turn it off? Is this better?
Yes.
Thank you. I mentioned during my presentation yesterday that we had replaced our text editor in our new product with a new text editor based on the Scintilla open source functionality. So we started out with a set of requirements as we looked at our existing text editor capability, and I'm going to talk about this mainly in terms of our development environment, because we were really trying to improve the development environment. But everything I talk about associated with Scintilla is also available to user applications. So in terms of our development environment, we wanted to be able to provide additional cues and styling of our editing environment. We wanted to take advantage of new technologies like Windows Direct Write. We wanted to minimize the changes to our existing system because VA Smalltalk, as most Smalltalk commercial systems are, is one of the hallmarks of it is stability. So we don't want to change the APIs if we can help it. And we have an existing framework that we wanted it to fit into. And we talk about our Linux development environment and the fact that we, over time, want to move it to be based on GTK instead of Motif. So we needed a solution that would align with GTK when we make that move. And as I said, we want to make the capabilities available to our customers for their applications. So those were sort of the requirements that drove our development of this new capability. And we looked around and we found Scintilla. It's an open source text editing set of functionality. It really has a lot of features that are oriented toward particularly source code editing, but it has a lot of general text editing capabilities also. It's been around a long time. See, 1999 it was initially released. It has a very active community. It's used by a number of different development environments. CodeBlocks is an IDE for C and C++. Notepad++ is a text editing tool. Tortoise SVN is a library management tool. And there's a number of other sort of mainstream tools that use Scintilla under the covers. And finally, it's cross-platform. That's very important to us because we run on many different Unix platforms as well as Windows. So we took the Scintilla functionality, which is delivered as a DLL, and we integrated it with our Common Widgets framework. This is the API that's common across all platforms. Underneath it, there's a platform-specific set of functionality to map that common API to the different platforms. We offer full, and I mean full, every API of Scintilla has been exposed in VA Smalltalk. It says Scintilla 3.3.3. It was the latest version as of probably 3 or 4 months ago when we kind of froze development. There may be a newer version now, but this was true at that time. And we implemented compatibility methods so we could ensure that we were 100% API compatible with our existing text editor widget. So this is really just plug replacement for our old text editing widget. And that was very important to us because it meant we didn't have to make a lot of changes in our code that uses the text editing widget in order to achieve new functionality. Okay? So, one of the things that we got in terms of new technology was Direct2D Direct Write. Microsoft has a feature built into Windows, starting with Windows 7, that gives you hardware accelerated rendering by offloading some of the rendering activities into the graphic processor instead of running them in the main CPU. There is a difference. I mean, it's not there for nothing. It provides a small performance boost, and it provides an improvement in the rendering of fonts. And some people can see it, some people can't. It's sort of like how discerning you are, and what kind of attention you provide to you pay to details like how the serifs are formed on fonts. So we'll be able to see that during the demo, that it's different. You may not really appreciate the difference, but it is different, and on some fonts it makes a big difference. So part of another thing that Scintilla brought to the table for us was auto indent capability as you are doing, for example, blocks, and you want to indent the content of the blocks on separate lines. Happens automatically. It brings tab and shift tab to indent and unindent lines or blocks of text, and the ability to move blocks of text up or down one line at a time, or you can drag and drop blocks of text in the text editor. And it provides its own margin area. We used to have, with the old text editor, our own margin area that we managed, and I'll show you what that is. We have had undo redo in the product, I guess as long as there has been a Visual Age Smalltalk or a VA Smalltalk, but it was one level undo. So you type a letter, you can undo that letter. 2 letters, no good. But with Scintilla, we get virtually unlimited undo redo of your activities, and it's intelligent enough to coalesce the activities that you're doing, for example, if you're typing, so that when you undo, it doesn't undo one letter at a time. It'll undo a word at a time, for example. Okay. And it also provides APIs for you to, if you don't like the way that coalescing works, if you want, for example, to go back to one letter at a time, there's APIs to change that behavior. Code completion. Code completion is something that we added a couple releases ago, maybe 3. And Scintilla also provides code completion. It's a little bit different than what we used to have. So we hooked it up to our code completion engine, and we provide the users the option to use the one we used to have, which provides more styling of the contents of these pop-ups, or the Scintilla one, which has less styling, but provides a little more speed in terms of how the pop-up is displayed. So you can have your choice now. Scintilla brought us a lot of capability in syntax color highlighting. Scintilla has a lexer that supports around about 80 different programming languages. Smalltalk is one of them. We started out using their lexer, but it didn't really provide all the functionality we needed for our syntax highlighting. So Scintilla being the ultimate flexible tool, it offers an API to provide your own lexer to the code, and we've made use of that. So Scintilla defines and identifies what needs to be styled, and we style it. We are able to style both for methods and for text, I'll say, in workspaces or inspectors. You know, when you're styling a method, you can have some expectation of what it's going to look like. It should parse. In a workspace, sort of all bets are off because it doesn't even have to really be Smalltalk. So we use fuzzy logic rules when we're parsing the contents of a workspace or an inspector, and more formal rules when we're parsing the contents of a method. We also have custom scanning that we use instead of the parser because it's faster and it provides enough information for the syntax coloring. So we don't really need a full parse tree to do syntax coloring. The more important thing is to do it fast and to do it accurately. We do bracket highlighting. So both matched brackets and unmatched brackets. There's capability to configure it. So you can define the colors. You can define whether it's on or off. If you don't want to do bracket highlighting, you don't have to. The notion of doing smart highlighting is another important feature that Scintilla brought to us. So when you highlight a word, a string in a method, smart highlighting says, I'm going to also highlight every other place in that method that contains that same string. So if you're highlighting an argument name, then it'll highlight all the usages within the method. If you're highlighting a temporary variable name, it'll highlight all the references to that temporary variable. And this works for block arguments also, I'll show that. Now, we've talked a lot of different stylizations here because we're smart highlighting and we're highlighting for this and we're highlighting for that, so there has to be a way to combine this. And we do this through alpha blending to make some of the highlighting transparent so that what's behind it shows through, to combine the different kinds of highlighting. So this is, I'm going to skip this because I'm going to actually show you this in the demo. I'm going to show you that, I'm going to show you that. The smart highlighting is configurable like everything else associated with this. There's different ways you can display the highlights. Boxes that are square in the corner, round in the corner, dotted boxes, different choices, different colors. And you can see near the bottom of this panel, You can also change the alpha blending to make things more or less transparent. Another thing that Scintilla brought to us was line numbering. Now, everybody that I talk to says, why would I want line numbering? Line numbering is like for C code or something. But if, particularly in a workspace where it might not even be Smalltalk code that you're entering, line numbering can be useful. So it's something that you can turn on and off, your choice. But for us, the place we found it useful is in workspaces. Scintilla actually, we said that it's really oriented toward code editing, source code editing. So it has breakpoint support. Cool. We can replace our breakpoint handling with Scintilla's. And it just works. And it gives us more capability in terms of the styling of the area where the breakpoints are displayed, and I'll show you that in the demo also. Debugger call tips. So because of this scanner technology that we have behind our browser's use of Scintilla, in the debugger now we can show a pop-up that will display the contents of global and temporary variables, arguments in the debugger. So you don't have to go up to the inspector pane in the debugger to see these values. Also configurable, you can turn it off. And the final kind of major functionality Scintilla brought was squiggly lines. Turns out they're not always squiggly lines. They can be strike-throughs, or they can be a number of different stylizing techniques. But they're used to display errors. So undefined variable references, compiler errors, and this identifies these issues in real time. On a lot of Smalltalk systems, there'll be an inline, like using our other text editor, there'll be an inline message. It'll say undefined variable right in front of the variable. This is kind of annoying. It's much nicer to get one of these little squigglies, mouse over it, and see a pop-up that tells you what's going on. So you can instantly identify misspelled words, unimplemented methods, things that, expectations of the code. Here's an argument variable that you're trying to assign to. Can't do that. This is also configurable. Everything's configurable. Okay, I'm going to switch to the demo now and show you, I hope, show you some of these features. So, yes, I like my collection hierarchy. So this is a browser on the collection class, or the collection hierarchy class, and you can see the, I hope it shows, the syntax highlighting. And I'm going to introduce an error. I'm going to try and send foo to this. And you can see already there's a purple squiggly under it. And if I mouse over, it'll tell me, I don't know anything about foo. So already I don't even have to run the code to know that I've done something bad. Now, yes?
Was it indicated before you saved or after?
I haven't saved it.
Oh,
I just typed it. So the scanner is running in the background. It's analyzing. Scintilla is telling what portion of this line is changed, our Lexer looks at it and says, that's a method send and I don't understand that method. Okay? Now, it doesn't really do it until you put a terminator, because it would get very noisy if it was doing this analysis as you were just typing along, because you might not have finished the name of the method. So there is a delay until you put some sort of terminator to the method selector. So we'll undo, and see now, because there's no period at the end, I have another mess. So I go down here, unimplemented method, because it thinks grow empty by 0 self-do is a method. So I'm going to undo once more and get back to my original. And just to satisfy myself, oh, I can change to a different method, which means that method was clean. The undo actually keeps track of the dirtiness of the method. And if the method's clean, it doesn't say you made a change, you have to save it. If I'd just gone back and changed the text back to what it was, it wouldn't do that, because it wouldn't have a way of knowing. Okay, so we can look here at bracket highlighting with square brackets. I'll put another one. Okay, that one's bad. It's not matched. So I have to either remove it or match it. Okay, now I typed it in and I removed it. Let's see if what I said was true. Oh yeah, I should have undone it. I shouldn't have just backspaced over it. So I'm going to find something interesting to put a breakpoint in. I guess here. So I'll put a breakpoint here. All our breakpoints are configurable, so you can tie them to a particular process. You can stop in a particular iteration, which means go through this breakpoint 5 times and then break. Or you can have a logical expression that has to be true in order for it to stop. But I'm just going to leave it like it is. And, oh, I love demos. The icon didn't show up. Okay, let's do it again. Life is good. Let's try a different method. Just.
Perhaps you should do it in all satisfy.
Yeah.
Maybe that blocks yourself.
So something has gone wrong here, because you'll notice the syntax highlighting, syntax coloring has gotten disturbed.
All satisfy maybe with
So we're not going to see that in here. I'm going to just move on. If Seth were here, he would go, oh, I know what that is. So this is a workspace, and I happen to have line numbers turned on in this workspace. One thing I want to do is show you the debugger when I do this. So I'm setting a variable to an array with 3 entries, and then I'm going to send add all to that array. Well, we know you can't add elements to an array. Its size doesn't change. So this should raise a debugger. Oh, yes. We'll add a line. Love demos. love a lot of demos.
You still have to breakpoint it, all satisfied. Yeah, your breakpoint and all satisfied is going to make
Yeah.
the image very unhappy.
So let's do this. We can fix that. Everything is fixable. It is almost fixable.
We're close to fixing it.
It gets better and better here, as a matter of fact.
John, could you kill the image and reopen it?
Yes,
I think
that's
this
probably
image is
the.
not going to be a bit unhappy.
Yeah.
If you can.
Yes, if I can. I know how to
Did
kill it.
succeed in that.
No, I know how to kill it. When in doubt, kill it. Go away. Okay. This will give me a chance to go away. There. This will give me a chance to show you environments. If I can find, here it is. So I talked about environments yesterday. And actually when I was talking about it, I pointed at this icon and said, I don't remember what this is. But if I'd had it up and running, you could see that there's pop-ups on all the icons that will identify what they do, and this one happens to give you a new copy of your image. Anyway, we'll start up again. Yes, connect to the library. It's all good. Yes. This is from the last time I saved, which I'm not interested in. We'll go here, find collection again. And there we are, we're back where we were. Isn't that great? Okay, so we'll try something different here. Don't pick all satisfied. Sure. I got it. Pick something else. And
Maybe not collection class?
yeah. Oh, well, I can do a collection class that isn't being used in the development environment. How about that? This is part of the packager, so since we're not packaging, we should be fine, he said, with great confidence. So, let's see. Oh yeah, look at that. We have a breakpoint. Okay, but maybe I want a breakpoint somewhere else too. Say here. Maybe I want a one-shot breakpoint here. Oh, okay. You can put more than one breakpoint in the line. That's cool. And we put a little number next to the icon so that you know how many breakpoints there are in the line. And you can double-click on the icon, and it'll show you which breakpoint you're looking at. Because, from here, you can configure the breakpoint. You remember this little panel? I might want to change iterations or the value expression or whatever. Okay, cool. So that's both breakpoints and one-shot breakpoints. I need to do this one. The only difference, let me open this again. The only difference is here, the one-shot is true. In all the other breakpoints we looked at, it was false. So this one will fire once and it'll go away. And this is really valuable in callbacks and places like that, because that is a place where normally you can't set breakpoints, because you can't resume the activity with the breakpoint set in a callback. But since the breakpoint goes away, you can now resume out of callbacks after you've broken there. So that's cool. That's Scintilla. Yes. So we did not see the what goes on in a workspace. And this was where I was going to show the debugger. Holy moly. Okay. So much fun demoing somebody else's code. See, even in the workspace, we get code assist. We didn't used to be able to do that.
You could just do a division by 0 instead of...
It doesn't demonstrate, the reason I don't do it, I've tried that. There aren't any variables to show in the debugger when you do division by 0.
Oh,
It's all literals.
I see.
So it doesn't really show off. What I'm trying to show. So we're going to add an array. We'll just add a smaller array. Okay.
It's a curly.
See? Oh, look at that. It's an unmatched brace, curly brace. Oh, maybe I should put one of those in instead. What do you think? That looks better. Okay, now what I wanted to show was the debugger. So, oops, it broke. So let's go back here and go, well, what's the value of x? I should be able to just sort of mouse over it and have it display. Oh, good. I like that. Good demo. I love it when people say, it worked in the hotel this morning. But, oh, there it is. Yes. So make a note, Mike. Got to leave a space after the X for this to work. Smalltalk doesn't care, but apparently our call tips does. So there we're showing the current value of X, which is an array with a 1 in it. Okay. That's really all I want to show because I seem to be really good at breaking this code. So are there any questions? So I do want to emphasize that for this release, our main focus was on providing capabilities in the browser. But we do make the Scintilla wrapped widget available for customer code. I mean, it's there like all our other widget code. Our direction in the future will be to expose it through our window builder and composition editor capabilities to make it easier for you to include it in your applications when you're building applications that use text editing. And I should say, every field, every text window in VA Smalltalk is enabled for Scintilla. So if you're filling in entry fields, it's a Scintilla field. And you have all the Scintilla capability there. Okay? Neil has a question.
Okay, so you have 100% API capability. So you've got some kind of spec, whatever, that's got references to CW text and CW this and CW that. Am I right in thinking that you can simply take the appropriate CW? Is it that happens invisibly? You've got Scintilla in, so CW text is now a Scintillafied object, or is it that you need to change CW text to CW Scintilla, or do something of that kind?
So the answer, Neil, is CW Scintilla widget or Scintilla editor is 100% API compatible, so you can change references to CW text to CW Scintilla text editor. We do it based on user selection in the configuration of the VA Assist portion of the product. So we have a configuration panel where you can turn Scintilla on and off.
So if you've got tools, I'm thinking of various things. I mean, you could simply suddenly get all this code, coloring, and all the rest in the various text blocks in the tools by just doing that switch over.
Yes.
Good.
Welcome.
I'm probably asking the same question. I built quite a few custom browsers using ET tools and stuff. Does this also, can I also use the Scintilla in there, or do I have to
Yes, you
add
can.
some?
Yes, you can. You can use it in your custom browsers.
So that's already CW code in there.
Yeah. So there's really 3 layers to our Scintilla support. There's the platform-specific layer, which is Windows only. There is the common widget layer, which is available across a common API with CW text. And then there's the VA Assist layer, which actually configures Scintilla for the browsers. So the browser support for Scintilla is in VA Assist, not in the base browser hierarchy. Do you see what I mean?
Not really. I mean, if I
Okay.
have
So it's implemented in the it's not implemented in ET Application Manager. It's implemented in STS Application Manager.
the
Scintilla
okay,
support
that explains it. Thank you.
for browsers. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.